First, right here tonight, the tragedy in Carolton, Kentucky. As you can see, flames consuming this home in Carolton. It happened early this morning. This video from a neighbor on the street. Police believe the house fire killed several people inside. It is still a developing story at this late hour at 5. Hello, everybody. I'm Doug Proffitt.
And I'm Connie Leonard. At this point, it's still unknown how many people may have died. Ian Hardwood and photojournalist Jessica Farley join us live from the scene where police rescued a little girl from the fire this morning. So, Ian, what can you tell us about her right now?
Connie, police believe that little girl was 3 years old. They found her at the back door of the house right behind me. I'll step out of the way so you can see it. You might not be able to tell it's a house anymore. The fire department's been dismantling it today so the coroners can see inside. We're not exactly sure how many people died in that home. That's what they're trying to figure out right now. What we are sure of is that this fire is absolutely devastating for the small town of about 5,000. This is the house fire Carrollton police believe killed several people on South 5th Street in the quiet downtown, filmed by a neighbor a block down the road.
An individual I work with, their son just graduated with one of the boys in there.
A landlord across the street, a father himself, Quentin Featherstone, feels for the loss. He saw the flames after he heard about the 6 in the morning fire.
Definitely makes you, reason to hug your kids and wife every day, before you leave.
While the coroner is still figuring out who died and how many people, a brother of the mother who owned the house said she worked at Carroll County Memorial Hospital and was lost in the flames. It's the same hospital who cared for a young girl rescued by the Carrollton Police Department.
The officer was able to remove that 3-year-old. That 3-year-old was transported to the Carroll County Hospital and has recently been taken to Louisville to a hospital in that area.
Exhausted by the hours-long battle, the joint crew between Carrollton Fire and Westside Volunteer Fire kept putting out flames even 6 hours after the fire started. Detective Dave Roberts rolled on scene after the firefighters.
It was an incredible fire that was in the residence, just a terrible loss for this community, the structure, the family. We're just praying that the child is okay that's in Louisville. Once this house cools down a little bit and we're able to get in there and continue our investigation, we'll see what we have inside the residence.
What they expect to find? Several bodies inside. Now, there's a vigil tonight at Carroll County Memorial Hospital. While the hospital did not name who it was for, we heard from a family member it's for the mother who lived at this house, her brother saying she worked at that hospital. That vigil starts at 7 o'clock. For now, I'm live in Carrollton. Ian Hardwood, WHAS11 on your side.
Ian, thank you so much for that report. Well, people in Carolton are also preparing a special memorial for Bryce Gerlach tomorrow night. Gerlach was shot and killed after a shooting near Harvest Homecoming. He played football for Carrollton Central High School and would have celebrated his senior night on Friday. Gerlach will be honored during the game's senior night ceremony. Gates open at 5 at Carrollton Central. The ceremony will take place at 6:30. Silver Creek will be selling bracelets in honor of Gerlach, with proceeds going to his family. And we'll also mention that Gerlach's visitation is underway at the First Capital Christian Church in Carrollton. It runs until 8 tonight. There's another visitation Saturday from 9 until 11 a.m., followed by his funeral service. And police continue to look for several suspects in this case. They said 2 groups of people got into a fight outside of Harvest Homecoming, leading to several people firing those shots at different locations. If you know anything, you are asked to call New Albany's anonymous tip line. That number's on your screen right now, 812-948-NAPD.
A former University of Kentucky student is going to be spending 12 months in prison after pleading guilty to assaulting a student desk clerk at UK and then using racial slurs during the incident that happened inside a dormitory. Now, that's according to the ABC affiliate in Lexington. Sophia Rosing entered a guilty plea in August to charges of assault, disorderly conduct, and public intoxication. The incident, which involved Rosing hitting the desk clerk and then uttering racial slurs while intoxicated, gained widespread attention after the video footage circulated quickly online in 2022. In addition to her prison sentence, Rosing is required to complete 100 hours of community service. She also attacked an officer who responded to the scene. Right now, we want to switch to the late new developments in the retrial of former LMPD Detective Brett Hankerson. The jury pool has been narrowed down as of late today. It's a federal jury as well. Hankerson and his attorneys arriving, as you see here, a little earlier today than previous days to the federal courthouse this morning, as this was the third day of jury selection continuing. They started the selection on Tuesday with about 150 people. This is Hankerson's third trial. He's accused of violating the civil rights of Breonna Taylor and her neighbors by firing randomly outside her apartment complex that night. Could this trial start tomorrow? Isaiah Kim Martinez and senior photojournalist Alyssa Newton are live. And Isaiah, what have you learned about that jury? Are they ready to go to start this trial?
Well, Doug, they're really close, actually. We're down to a list of 36, or at least 36, around 36. We've gotten a couple different numbers, but 36 jurors who could potentially be seated as early as tomorrow morning. Remember, they're going to get that number down, attorneys on both sides, to 16. That's 12 official jurors and 4 alternates. This is likely going to happen tomorrow morning. They're going to be sworn in and seated officially, and then testimony is expected to start soon after. But I do want to mention, just hours earlier, I did get a chance to speak with some friends and family of Breonna Taylor. They were in front of the federal courthouse here. Here's some of what they had to say.
Breonna Taylor, baby. Let's go.
Friends and family of Breonna Taylor at Louisville's federal courthouse.
No justice. No peace.
Taylor's aunt, Bianca Austin, checking in to see when Brett Hankerson's federal retrial may begin.
We want the state of Kentucky, the jurors, to listen to the evidence, listen to the facts, and just do the right thing.
Hours earlier, Brett Hankerson and his attorneys arrived for a third day of jury selection. They're also grappling with a last-ditch effort from prosecutors to include more evidence in a trial that could start at any moment. The U.S. Department of Justice wants to connect what they call Hankerson's prior aggressive acts as a cop before 2020 to his actions during the Breonna Taylor raid, trying to paint the former LMPD detective as having a history of being reckless and endangering those around him. Louisville attorney Thomas Clay, who's not part of this case, explaining the strategy to me.
They're trying to show a pattern of conduct, that he overreacts under certain situations.
Judge Rebecca Grady Jennings denied prosecutors' request, but left the door open for them to provide more evidence to prove Hankerson's past actions showed similar intent to the night Taylor was killed.
I think it would be very difficult from an evidentiary perspective for the judge to let in evidence that he had a temper.
Louisville attorney and former federal prosecutor Brian Butler, also not involved in this trial, tells me making this connection is a tall task.
There's very specific and limited circumstances where you can use bad character evidence in a trial against a defendant, and it can't be to show propensity to do something bad.
Again, all signs point toward trial starting tomorrow with opening statements. Again, a jury pool of about 150 narrowed down to 36, and they'll get that number down even more to that final jury seated and sworn in tomorrow morning. Doug.
Well, Isaiah, we don't know the makeup of the jury yet. That's also always a key question. But let's talk about what this jury is going to hear. Are they going to hear any new evidence in this case? Or are we going to see some of the exact same things that were presented in the first federal trial and also in the Jefferson Circuit Court trial back in 2022? Anything new being entered into this trial?
There is, Doug. We're actually expecting a hearing. Prosecutors are trying to include some of Brett Hankerson's past incidents within LMPD, incidents they argue show that he had a likelihood of showing aggression when he was on the job. So far, the judge has not approved that evidence coming into this trial specifically, but that is still being considered at this time. So that is another element to this case that could change before things start up, likely again tomorrow. Doug.
All right, Isaiah Kim Martinez live outside 6th and Broadway downtown, bringing it down to 12 for a possible start tomorrow. The man charged with trying to kill a Metro police officer last summer in Shawnee Park is going to spend more than a decade in prison. We learned this late today, July 2023. Herbert Lee had 12 outstanding warrants when the police were attempting to arrest him during a dirt bowl basketball tournament. During that arrest attempt, police say Lee shot an officer in his bullet-resistant vest. Today, Lee was facing 20 felony charges in 2 separate cases, and he was sentenced to 13 years in prison. Also here new at 5, we've learned that it was a teenager who was shot yesterday in Old Louisville. Police and the coroner say 15-year-old Timothy Berry died today at the hospital. Metro Police say the shooting happened at about 3:30 yesterday afternoon, right at 3rd and St. Catherine Streets. Police say they have no suspects at the moment. But if you can help detectives, don't forget the anonymous tip line. It's 574 LMPD.
A JCPS student was injured in an accidental shooting outside of school this morning. It happened in the student parking lot of Atherton High School around 9 a.m. The school's principal sent a letter to parents saying it appears that a student shot themselves in the leg while inside their car, and he said, to be clear, that the gun never made it inside the school. It was all outside. Police believe it's non-life-threatening injuries they're investigating.
Well, we had a freeze warning last night. I saw all that freeze on the rooftop this morning. It was really cold, but these skies still amaze. We've had so many days, Connie, one after another, of no clouds anywhere, and it's just thrilling to see because a lot of times we haven't had great falls around here.
Yeah, it's true. I saw a lot of people out riding their bikes, taking the dog for a walk. Great day out there.
Yeah,
Ben.
I prefer to sleep through that frost. Let it go away and let it warm up a little bit before I head outside. But yeah, it was a frozen one this morning in many locations. Now the low in the city, 39 degrees, so not as much frost within the Waterson. But you get out in the suburbs, outlying areas, check it out. Below freezing this morning in Elizabethtown, Munfordville, Litchfield at 31, 27 low temperature in Brandenburg. Not as cold tonight, but we do have a little bit of a frost advisory through 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Lows will be in the lower 40s in the city, so not frosty in Louisville, but outlying areas might see just kind of a touch of frost, especially in the valley locations. Right now, a nice and cool, a little warmer than our last several days, in the 60s, all lower 60s throughout the area right now. There's that frost advisory covering most of the area. You might want to cover out the plants again if you live outside of Louisville and want to keep them going. Here's a look at the clear sky over much of the United States. So we're talking many days of sunshine ahead for us all the way through the weekend. Just about perfect as the 70s return. 50s this evening. The overnight low temperatures fall down to the upper 30s and lower 40s. So a little bit of a chill Friday morning with maybe a touch of frost, and then upper 60s, lower 70s for tomorrow afternoon. So the forecast here for tonight, low 41, outlying areas in the 30s, 62 with a blue sky at noon tomorrow, all sunshine, and 70 tomorrow afternoon. We'll look ahead through the weekend. I'll show you how long this dry pattern will last coming up.
All right, thank you, Ben. Kentucky's state auditor is officially looking into Louisville's Metropolitan Sewer District. This morning, Metro Councilman Scott Reed and State Representative Jared Ballman addressed their formal audit request for MSD inside Metro Hall. Now, Councilman Reed says it follows noticeable sewer rate hikes, 7 of the last 10 years, as well as salary raises for MSD executives.
What we want here is accountability. It may be completely justified. I don't know. What I do know is that rate increases have gone up 7 of the last 10 years, 6.9%. You've got the cost of electricity, you've got the cost of groceries, you've got the cost of fuel. Everything has gone up. So our constituents in the city are asking why. So that's what we're trying to find out.
MSD is responding to the audit, saying, quote, "Our rates are driven by the billions of dollars in system enhancements required by the federal government. While we never want to increase rates, measured increases over time are required in order to continue to protect the health and safety of our communities." The audit is expected to last through next year.